Guys, that's kind of swanky, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I didn't even say the specs for this sweater. Okay, thank you, Grandma. So your needles don't slide out. Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here or if you just need a refresher, I'm Ollie and I'm the one-woman show behind the Walleeze channel. And I like to talk a lot about anything really, but especially my hobbies, which is exactly why I started this YouTube channel and this knitting podcast. So I'm back again with episode 3 this week. It's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter one because I was very busy this last week and I've been sick this whole week. So I've been busy and sick. So, you know, if you're sick, you can get a lot of knitting done. But if you're busy and sick, you're just miserable the whole week. So I was miserable the whole week. I'm just now getting over it. So if my voice gets more tired than it does and quicker than it usually does, I apologize. But I am on the very tail end of it. So we'll see how it goes. I hear my roommates moving around the flat. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a ton to bring to you this week. I've made a little bit of progress on my salty days. I've made some progress on my socks. I've not met the plans that I set for myself. I didn't meet either of the goals, but we'll talk about that later. But I do have some acquisitions this week, because I got a present for my grandma. So yeah, let's jump right in. So like I said, I've got no finished objects, so we're just gonna breeze right past that. But I do have 2 works in progress. It's the same 2 works in progress as last week's video. So, boyfriend warning. If you were my boyfriend and you're watching this, hi my dear, this is your Christmas present. You can't watch. Go away for a little bit. I'll leave a timestamp. Okay, everyone else, this is my Salty Days sweater. I should really start putting progress keepers on these so you guys can see, but this is it. I apologize if my needles clank. And for my little Jingle Bell stitch marker. If you saw last week, I explained all about my stitch marker, and I think it's really cute, but it's just, it's a little bit annoying and tedious. But yes, it's a very pretty. If you were here last week, we were here probably about like right there, probably about 4 rows into the ribbing, and I went ahead and did the ribbing. I did the little eyelet section down here. See if I can get it to focus. Not on me, on this. I did the little eyelet section, and I started doing the bottom ribbing. I put this back over here so my boyfriend can rejoin us. Hi, my dear. Welcome back. But I'm supposed to be doing the half twisted rib currently, but I didn't feel like doing half twisted rib, and I am a part of the Salty Days knit along. I'm in that group chat that's hosted by Morgan Unraveled and Haley's Space. I made a mistake in last week's video. I put text over the video, but I didn't mention Haley's Space. I started watching Morgan Unraveled first, so I completely forgot that Haley's Space was part of that. But so the Salty Days knit along that Morgan Unraveled and Haley's Space are hosting, and in that group chat somebody substituted their half twisted rib for an open twisted rib, and it looks like faux cables. They're not really cables, but they kind of look like cables, and I thought it was really chic and really cool, and just a nice twist to break up. Like, I mean, you saw it's like 3.5 inches of ribbing. You put in a little eyelet section, and then it's more ribbing. So it's just a nice way to break up that rib. So I went ahead and started the process of that. I'm only 2 rows into that. It's 22 rows of ribbing, so it'll probably end up being like 20 or 24 rows because of the repeat for open twisted rib, but I'm only 2 rows in. I was trying to knit yesterday while watching Great British Bake Off, and I was just too engrossed with Great British Bake Off. It was bread week. It's intense. It's crazy. I'm behind, so no spoilers, please. Thank you very much. But yeah. Oh, I didn't even say the specs for this sweater. This is the Salty Days sweater by Kudovakika or Veronica Lindbergh, whichever you prefer. And I'm knitting it in Malabrigo Rios, which is this yarn, in the colorway Wales Road, and it's 100% superwash merino. This is the 4th ball of yarn. So I bought 6 skeins, hanks, whatever. Oh my god, what are they called? They're called hanks. I bought 6 hanks of yarn for this. But this is the 4th one that we've just cracked into. So it's barely going to get tapped into for the ribbing on the open twisted rib on the bottom and the ribbing on the neckline. I'm just going to do the regular twisted rib for that. I don't want to do like the lace detail that far up. Not lace, the open twisted rib up there. So it's barely going to get cracked into. And I imagine the other ones will use a hank each for the sleeves, but we'll see how that goes. I'm knitting it on 5.5 millimeter needles, and I actually just switched for the needles for the bottom ribbing, which I'm seving for open twisted rib, and I'm using 4.5 millimeter needles for that. In the pattern, she says to jump down 2 hole sizes. I didn't want this to have such an aggressive, like, cinched look at the bottom where it's like this, and then cinched. I didn't want that really, but I still wanted like the ribbing to be tighter than everything else, so I just went down 1 needle size, and hopefully that will achieve the look and goal that I'm trying to get. Like I said earlier, my goal last week was to finish the body, so have the bottom ribbing done and have the collar ribbing done. I didn't do that, obviously, but that's okay because I was sick and I was busy and I had classes and I had homework and I just was miserable, so I'm cutting myself slack. But yeah, so I'm just working on that open twisted rib. It is not difficult, but the repeat is a little bit like harder for me to get the rhythm down. Does that make sense? I have it right here. Don't mind my laundry on my bed. But I have it written down in my editing notes. So I have it written down like right here. Yeah. So I watched a YouTube video on it and I translated it for in the round where you don't have like a right and wrong side of the fabric, and then I am troubleshooting it as I go. I'm having to do like a rapid decrease because I messed up my count or whatever, but it's okay. But yeah, I finally got through all the ribbing. It was horrible to get through all the ribbing. It took forever. I don't think I finished it until like Friday. It's Sunday currently. It's Sunday when I film these, and I don't think I finished it until Friday. But it's done, and that's the point, and I won't have to worry about that until I get to the sleeves. And that's a future Olivia problem, so we'll see that. But yeah, I think that's all I'm going to talk about the Salty Day sweater. I think I'm going to move on to my next work in progress. My next work in progress is the Jack-o'-lantern socks by Renard and Dormy. The Jack-o'-lantern socks are, like I said, a sock pattern by Renard and Dormy, and they are meant to be knit up in 2.25 millimeter needle. Yeah, 2.25 millimeter needles for the ribbing, heels, and toe, and then 2.5 millimeters needles in the colorwork sections, which is most of the sock. So I'm following that just as normal because I do like to loosen up my tension in the colorwork, and it's paying off. I tried them on the other day, Friday, Saturday, whatever, yesterday, I think yesterday, and it slid so easily over my sock. I mean, my sock. I've got brain fog, guys. I'm sorry. But it slid so easily over my heel, which is usually the area where it gets stuck.
Hi, this is Editing Ollie coming in to just tell you that those are fool's words. Those are the words of a fool coming straight from the fool's mouth, because later that night, mere hours later, they did not in fact fit. They were actually very far from fitting. So there is a long war story that will be recounted to you in next week's podcast. So be sure to tune in, I guess. Enjoy the rest of the video. That was all.
So, enough talk. Let's see him. I want to see the baby. You know, like that, what do we... Okay, we were hanging on something in there. But here's my progress on my jack-o'-lantern socks. Let me get my magic loop thing out the way. So, my goal... I also did not meet my goal for this, but like I said, cutting myself some slack because I've been sick. Here's the other side. It's the same, but here it is. yeah, my goal for last week was to get all the way past the heel by the time I filmed this podcast. I did not do that. Obviously, there's no heel on this, but I am right up to the point where I will start the heel, which I'm planning to do today after I finish this podcast. Okay, something large just fell outside, but whatever. So I'm planning to do that today after I finish filming this podcast, and later tonight when I'm all cozy and warm up in my bed watching something. I don't know. YouTube videos, The Bear. I'm watching The Bear right now. I'm on season 3, so I'm enjoying it so far, but my god, it is overstimulating at parts, but I'm enjoying it. I'm knitting this in, this is my project bag. I bought this years and years ago on Etsy, and it is very cute, very helpful. It does not work for like larger projects, obviously, but it has like a little partition down the middle, so it's great for like color work stuff. So I have like the rust and the green. Look, you can see inside. I see, I have all my, you can hear my stitch marker case in there wobbling around. But it's I'm knitting this in Drops Fabelle in the colors rust, apple green, and brown, and it is 75% wool and 25% polyamide. Right. Yeah, so this is obviously that's the brown, that's the rust for the pumpkin, and that's the apple green for the little stems and stuff. Like I said last week, if you were watching, I knit my color work inside out, so when I'm knitting, this is what I see. It doesn't look like much, and if you'll notice that there's already like several ends. And do you want to know something? This is after me already weaving in the bottom half. There are a ton of ends because I'm trying not to, just because I know it messes with my personal tension, but I'm trying not to, let's see, can we focus? Carry them up. Let's see, let's get this green out of the way. You see where like the little bits up here where they're carried up like that? I'm trying not, like down here too, I'm trying to avoid that where I can, if like well, not avoid it altogether. I don't mind doing it if it's like 3 to 5 rows, but there are portions where like you're jumping like 10 rows, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather just cut it and weave in an end. I used to suck at weaving in ends, so I made it like a personal mission to just not dread weaving in ends and just go for it and try really hard to nail it, and I finally did nail it, and so now I don't really mind weaving in ends. It does like make me go cross-eyed a little bit if I do it for too long, but I usually just put on an audiobook or a podcast or something and just, you know, zone out and just weave in on my ends. So there are a ton of ends to weave in because of just the way that the color blocking color work works out. You know what I mean? You see here, like this is mainly orange, so I cut and I rejoined with the green later. But I'm weaving in batches, so that way I don't have, well, first of all, so I don't have like all these ends getting tangled with my working yarn as I go, but also so that way at the end it's not so painful that I have like 36 ends to weave in. It's easier to just weave them in as I go, you know? But yeah, I'm really loving it, actually. I love the colorwork charts. They're so cute, and they work up really fast, and you can really just see like what they are super quickly, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think they'll be really cute on Halloween. I'm dressing up as Joe Cool because I'm a college kid and I don't have the money for a real like elaborate costume like I would want. So I'm dressing up as Joe Cool because all I have to do is find a red knit sweater and like write Joe Cool on it in either fabric or duplicate stitch. So we're going as that. So, but yeah, so I'm just really enjoying the process on them. I don't want to like flash this and give away the whole like chart, but I like to be able to cross out my charts. If it's a really elaborate chart, I'll just like upload it in my iPad on Procreate or something and just cross it out as I go. But if it's a simpler chart, kind of like this is, where it's just like a 12 stitch repeat, then I like to get a piece of graph paper and put it down on there. So like you'll see that I did like this, where I just use colored pencils and I put it down on like graph paper, and that's what I have. So this is what I carry around in my bag, so that way I don't have to have the pattern open the whole time. I just have my little chart with me and I just work that. So yeah, that's my jack-o'-lantern socks. I am really enjoying the process of knitting them. Like I said, I'm having a lot of fun. I think out of all of like the major knitting techniques that I've tried so far, like the big scary ones like color work, lace, and cables, color work is definitely my favorite. First of all, I love like being able to use different yarns. It does get a little bit tedious at times, especially when there's like 3 colors hanging off your piece at one time. But I do love like seeing them mixed together, and I love seeing that image, whatever it is you're working up, like build so quickly and so vividly and bright, and it's so easy to see what it is, you know what I mean? Like lace, you kind of got to squint, and it will take a couple rows for it to like work up, but right off the bat with color work, you're seeing that shift and you're seeing it grow, and that's really motivating for me personally and my flow as a knitter. So I love a colorwork piece, and I'm so glad that like the second thing I ever knit was a colorwork piece, because I wanted to be able to nail it so much. I had so much saved in my Ravelry that was colorwork, and I knew it was going to be something that I wanted to do right off the bat. So I needed to be able to learn it quick, you know what I mean? So I started right like immediately. Because I mean, the first piece that ever inspired me to really knit was, I knew how to knit when I was 8 years old. Then I realized I didn't actually know how to knit, and I gave it up because it was really hard. And then time went on, and I came back when I was 19 years old, and I decided I'm going to sit with it, and I'm going to really actually truly learn how to knit. And I started to like I just kept pushing it off. I was like, well, I can keep crocheting this. I found a crochet pattern version of it. I don't need to knit. I have the crochet pattern. And then I saw the porcelain sweater by Lynette, and I was like, I have to have that. And that has been the piece that has like led me, like motivated me to knit. I haven't knit it yet. I have the yarn for it. It was one of the first like yarn sprees that my boyfriend took me on, is that he bought the yarn for me to make my porcelain sweater. I haven't knit it yet. I'm very intimidated about purling color work. It's windy outside. Anyways, I'm just very intimidated about purling color work. It's something that scares me, and I know that once I actually do it and I just need to get into like the rhythm of it, it won't be scary. But it's just one of those things I haven't done it. And then I kind of lost motivation for that project, because even though I have the yarn for it and it's very pretty and it's something that I do want in my wardrobe, there are other things that keep popping up that I'm like, oh well, I'll do this first, and I'll do that first, and I'll do that first. And I know that's kind of probably a form of procrastination on the project, but we'll be fine. But I have the yarn literally in that wardrobe right there that you see right behind me. But we'll get to it. We'll probably get to it in the new year. It'll probably be one of the first projects that I start with, because I do want to get it done. It is a lot of yarn that takes up a lot of space, so probably will get done. But yeah, what was my original point? I don't really know. But that's it for works in progress. I'm sorry that it seems like I'm speeding through these, but I really am just sick, and I just don't feel well. So I want to stay consistent with for myself and for the sake of YouTube algorithms. I do want to stay consistent with like recording and posting videos, but I am just a little bit still ill. So, but I do have acquisitions this week. I have 2 acquisitions, and two acquisitions, but they are both knitting needles. So not yarn, but knitting needles. So first up, I mentioned it last week, but they hadn't been delivered yet. They were out for delivery, and they got delivered literally like 2 hours later. But it's the Nova Cubics, and I bought the short needles, because most needles are like 5.5 inches. I bought the ones that are like 3.5 inches for the sleeves on the Salty Day sweater. I have never knit in Nova Cubics, but I have knit in the Novas, which is what it's what I knit all my socks in, is the Novas. I bought them in England. I was going to touch on this later, but I guess I'll bring it up now because it's relevant for the rest of this conversation. So there's Knitter's Pride in America. A lot of people are familiar with it. A lot of people buy their needles. They have things like Carbons, Trends, Dreams, Mindful, the Nova, Platina, all kinds of stuff. They got all kinds of stuff going on, and very popular brand. Very semi-affordable too, depending on what you're buying, but very popular, very well known. They have the Nova Platina needles, like I mentioned, and in England, I noticed that there's a company called Knit Pro, and they sell something called the Novas, and they sell something that are also called the Carbons, but their Carbons, I think, is, and then they have Trends, and they have Dreams, and I'm like, hey, these are kind of all the Knitter's Pride needles. I wonder what that's about. I was like, is this just a brand doing the same thing, or what? So I found out that Knitter's Pride and Knit Pro are the same company, but different branches. So Knit Pro services, at the very least, the UK, and I think more. And Knitter's Pride services the US. So same company, different regional branches. And I think that that's pretty cool. So they have certain things that are available in England that are not available in the UK. I'll touch on that in a second. I mean, England that are not available in the US. And like I said, I'll touch on that. But that also means that they have things available in the US, easier to find in the US, that are not easy to find in the UK. One of those things being short needles. I can't find short needles. I have the hardest time. I literally have to go on Amazon and I have to wait like a week to get my stuff delivered, which, if you know Amazon, is a long time. Because I can't find them online anywhere without buying like a full set. And I'm like, pardon me, but I don't wish to buy a full deluxe set that costs me $150. So I would like to just buy one needle size. Thank you very much. So at this point on Amazon, I was trying to find Carbons in the short needles, so that way, which is what I'm using for my Salty Day sweater, if you can see right here. It's not gonna want to focus. There we go. See, those are the Carbons, which is what I'm using for my Salty Days. I just like messed that all up. Okay. But I could not find Carbons shorts anywhere. They call them like deluxe or something, because it's just, I don't know. They call them either special or short or deluxe. They call them different things. But I couldn't find them anywhere. And so I was like, at this point, let me just find some short needles in the right size. And so, Knitter's Pride and Knit Pro being the same company, that matters also, because that means that their cables are interchangeable. So if I bought something, like I bought my Knitter's Pride Carbons set, they are interchangeable with my Knit Pro whatever set. So that matters for that reason. So I'm not looking for like a fixed set. I'm looking for interchangeable. Because if I looked for fixed, all it shows me really is like 9-inch circulars. And I don't really want to do sleeves on 9-inch circulars. I don't even know if I could. Until I got down to like the very cuff, but not the point of this. So I was just looking for needles, and I managed to find the Zing and the Nova Cubics, and I had heard very mixed reviews about the Nova Cubics, but I know that I enjoy the Nova, so I was interested to try the Nova Cubics, so I went with that over the Zing. I think I would like to try the Zing later down the line. Maybe I'll buy the Zing for when I get to the ribbing on the cuffs, but the sleeve cuffs, but I don't know if that's wise. Honestly, it wasn't wise that I switched to Nova Cubics instead of Carbons, even though I couldn't find them anywhere. It wasn't wise because my tension on metal needles is much looser than it is on the Carbons, because the Carbons is more of a grip, so I tend to knit a little bit tighter on there. And so I don't know the science behind it, but the point is I got Nova Cubics. So here they are. They got delivered. So here they are. You can see that they're like square in the middle. And I got them in, so I want to know why the camera's focusing on my sleeve down here. On my sleeve right here. But it's not what I want you to focus on, Queen. But I bought them in 5.5 millimeters. And they are short. See, they're much shorter. Like if I pull my Carbons, if I pull my Carbons back over here, you'll see that the base, can I do you'll see that they're a little bit shorter. Yeah. But yeah, so these are, like I said, the interchangeable cables. So I put them on my shortest Knitter's Pride cable, which I think is 40 centimeters. So like the whole thing is 40 centimeters now, which is a little bit bigger than I wanted it to, but it will work perfectly fine for the sleeves. So that's what I bought for the sleeves. They got delivered. Maybe and now it's a chance for me to try out the cubics, because I've either heard that people love the cubics and they think it changes their life and it helps with wrist pain, which I have really bad wrist pain because I ran a crochet business very briefly in high school, just doing commissions for people that they would ask and I would do it. And I was so intent on being as fast and efficient as possible that I ended up almost giving myself carpal tunnel. So I had to take a break and I went like on a big crochet hiatus, and I didn't do that. And I mean, crochet uses a lot more of your wrist than knitting does. Knitting, you can have your wrists be a lot more stagnant. You can use more of your like higher up in your arms. But so I've heard that Nova Cubics help with that, and I've also heard that Nova Cubics are terrible and that they wish they could return them and never buy them again. So we'll see where I fall on that. The next acquisition that I bought, it's been sitting in my cart for a while. I've actually been contemplating on this needle set for several months, and this specific set has been sitting in my cart for about a month and a half, almost 2 months. But my grandmother recently sent me money. She learned how to send money through Venmo and stuff. Well, more like she figured out how to tell my dad to do it whenever he comes to visit. So she told my dad to send me money. And so she sent me some money, and she called me up and she was like, hey, I sent you money and I want you to treat yourself. Just if that's food, if that's like a book, if that's something that she's like, I don't care what it is, just treat yourself. And so I was like, okay, thank you, Grandma. And so I went to go treat myself. So like I said before, the Knitter's Pride and Knit Pro differences between America. So if you've ever seen Knitter's Pride Nova Platina needles, you'll know that the interchangeable set comes like this in America. And I'll put a picture somewhere, one of these sides. So it comes like this in America. And it's just not the best if you're paying like $80. If I'm paying $80 for a set, I would ideally want I think it's like $70 or something dollars. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but it's like $70 to $80 on Amazon in the US to buy the Nova Platina set, and it comes in this kind of plastic bag, and I don't really love that, you know what I mean? So I've been kind of holding off. Plus I wanted to try the Nova Platina, but I've tried the Nova Platina I think that doing sleeves is a perfect time to try out like a set, when you can just buy like one of the interchangeable like needles and you can just try it out like that. So that's how I tried out the Nova Platina in a larger size, because like I said, I do all my sock knitting in Nova Platina. And so I really enjoyed them, and I decided, yeah, I will eventually want to invest in a set, but I'm going to wait until I can buy myself a really nice case for my interchangeable knitting needles, because I have my carbons set like here. So like my carbons came in this case, which it's a good case, it's fine, you know what I mean, for holding the carbons, but it like, first of all, that like falls, my 3mm needles fall out all the time, and it's just really annoying. But it could be better, you know, it could be better. So I wanted to wait, that if I was going to buy the Nova Platinas, I was going to wait until I could buy a really nice case to go with it. And then I get to England and to come back for school, and I start looking at Nova Platina, and that's when I had made that distinction between like the connection between Knit Pro and Knitter's Pride, and I was like, oh, if they're the same company, then they absolutely have the Nova Platinas in Knit Pro. And so I wanted to see if there was a price difference, or if there's any like differences in the set or anything, like start comparing and contrasting, right? Because I'm a conscious shopper. Well, actually, I'm a very impulse buyer, but that has made me a conscious shopper at the same time, where if it's something bigger, that I will absolutely sit on this purchase for like 2 months before I actually do it. But yeah, so I started comparing and contrasting, and I was looking, and they don't call them Nova Patina, they just call them Nova Metal or something like that, right? And I was like, what is this like set with this snazzy little bag? And I'm like, this is how they come, and this is how all the Knit Pro sets come. And I was like, guys, that's kind of swanky, you know what I mean? And it comes with one less needle. You start, it's 3.5 millimeter to 8 millimeter, and it doesn't have the 3 millimeter, like a lot of the Nova Patina set in America does. But for a nice case, I can be convinced to go without a 3 millimeter, because I have 3 millimeter in my carbons. So my grandma said treat myself, and I treated myself. So this is the Knit Pro Nova interchangeable needle set. I've been wanting this, like I said, for several months, the Nova Patina in America, but then I found this, and I was like, and it comes with a pretty case. I can be convinced to give up a needle. I don't remember exactly what the Nova Patina's set comes in. I think it's 3 to 8, and they miss 1 or 2 in the middle, but again, I'll correct myself if I'm wrong.
And I was in fact wrong. So the Nova Patina set does not come in sizes 3 to 8 like I said it did. In fact, it starts at size 3.5 millimeter, then it jumps to 3.75, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, and 8. So it is different than the set that I bought, which I say the sizes later. So just correcting myself. Continuing on.
But is it shallow to have bought this instead? Maybe. Do I care? No. Because you know what else? This was cheaper. This was, I think, after like the international exchange rate and everything, this was like $60. So it may not, $10 may not sound like a lot, but $10 to a college student is a meal. So, but this is my set. I love it. It's so cute. It's really nice, and I love the little sheep on it and everything. And it has, you open it up, and it has this magnet snap closure, and it has this like little slot in here, and you take it out, and it has this card with all your needles on it. So it has, it starts at 3.5, then 4, then 4.5, then 5, then 5.5, and then 6, 7, and 8 millimeters. So very nice. And I was talking to my boyfriend about this, and this is such a small detail, but I appreciate it so much. So when I was literally showing you my carbon set, my 3 millimeter over here, if you look at, I'm trying to get it where there's no reflection, if you look at this elastic that goes over it, there's a lot of wiggle room around that. Whereas if you look at the elastic that goes over this, which is the 4 millimeter? Yeah, 4 millimeter right there, there's less wiggle room. So it's the same size elastic for each needle set, which is exactly why my 3 millimeters just slide on out of that elastic. But if you look here, the elastic, the space of elastic changes. Focus. Changes based on the needle size. So your needles don't slide out. And that's such a small detail, but I appreciate it, and it warmed my heart. This is incredibly good quality. This is a sturdy case. This case is not going anywhere, and it's really soft, and it feels good. And if you go back here and you unzip this is exactly where all your cables are. It comes with 4 different types of cables. I think it's 40, 60, and 280. Oh, no. It's 80, it's 60, 80, and then 100, and I think there's 280. Again, I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But it comes with that. It comes with some connectors and the pins and everything, and then it comes with stoppers. So, yeah, that was what I've been wanting these forever. England has a prettier case, and it was a little bit cheaper. And was I a little shallow for waiting for the prettier case? Maybe, but aesthetics are very important to me, because if something looks good, I'm going to be motivated to use it more, which is exactly why I take so much emphasis on making my notes for class look as pretty as can be, because if they look as pretty as can be, I'm more motivated to come back and study. You know what I mean? So, yeah. that's all I really have to say about the Nova needles. I'm really excited, and I hope to soon start a project vlog for the clematis vest sweater. I keep wanting to say vest because the vest is what I found first, and the vest is what I wanted to knit first, and then I found the sweater, and the sweater just works so much better for this time of year. So I do want to do a project vlog for that. I guess this kind of leads us into plans, so let's go into plans. So broader plans that are longer term. Yeah, like I said, this is what I was waiting for to start knitting my clematis sweater. I did not want to knit a clematis sweater on my carbons. I had knit something on my carbons before with, I just didn't want to do it again. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I just didn't want to do it again. So the carbons are now my backup needles. They just have a little bit too much grip for me to be completely comfortable with them. And if I'm knitting on something for a long period of time, I want to be completely comfortable. So this is what I was waiting for. So now at any given point, I could start on the clematis sweater. I do want to do a project vlog, like I've said 3 times already, because I keep running over my own sentences, but we'll see how that goes, because I can't decide if I want to do it in like a cute little TikTok format or in like a YouTube video, a full YouTube video. I think I might do both, maybe, because I think I can do both at one time. I don't know, I've got things working up here, but to more immediate plans for this week. My next podcast, I want to have finished the body of the Salty Day sweater like I said I was going to do last week. Hopefully my illness does not come back in full swing. Hopefully I am done with this and I will feel better by tomorrow or Tuesday, and then I can really get that done. I also, like I said, I need those socks done by Halloween because I want to wear them on Halloween. So I actually created myself this like Post-it note. I created myself like a plan to knit the sock. So I have like certain quota to meet every day. So I'm just gonna follow that plan. Like today I need to knit the heel and 1/3 of the color work for the foot. It's a German short row heel. It's not hard, it's not difficult, it's not painful. I prefer a German short row heel over a heel flap and gusset any day. It takes a while and you're just there. So I really just need to find time today to sit down, put on an audiobook. I just got the audiobook, Ministry of Time, I think it's called, from Libby. So hopefully I'll sit down and listen to that. But yeah, and then I just need to follow that. By next week, when I check back in next week, I should almost be done with the second sock if I'm following that schedule.
Once again stating that tragedy did strike later that night, and it is much too long a story to share here, so you'll just have to tune into next week's podcast to get the whole story and all of its intrigue and heartbreak and everything in between.
Really my goal for the schedule is to get it done in time, but something that I need to be aware of is that I do tend to set overzealous goals for myself, and I need to be aware of how I'm feeling, sickness wise. Now that wasn't planned, but sickness wise, homework wise, and wrist health wise. I don't want to risk hurting my wrist and then I have a crappy knitting season. So I'm also, I go to school for creative writing, English literature and creative writing, so typing hurts your wrist too. So if I mess up my wrist knitting, I'm going to be feeling that pain while doing homework. So I don't want to, it's just going to make my whole day like it's going to irk me and it's going to bother me and it's going to put me in unnecessary discomfort or pain or whatever, depending on how bad it is. Not saying that it will get bad, because that's something that I need to do, is focus on myself and focus on how I'm feeling and adjust accordingly. I just need to be kind to myself. You know what I mean? That's something that too many people don't do, is be kind to themselves, and you need to be kind to yourself. So, also next week I want to at least start the sleeve of the Salty Days, the first sleeve. And by start, my bare minimum is like just pick up the stitches, because I tend to procrastinate on picking up stitches, so I just need to sit down one night and pick up those stitches. So that is at least where I want to be with the sleeve. I'm not saying I'll have a ton done on the sleeve, but I at least want to have the stitches picked up for the sleeve. So we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to think of anything else that I have to say. Okay, I can't think of anything else that I needed to say. I thought I had a train of thought, but I guess I lost it. So we'll see. But yeah, that does it for me. I'm out of things to say and my throat is tired and I think it's time for me to go take a nap. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, maybe turn on the notification bell so you can be notified when I post more videos like this one. Thank you guys truly for hanging out with me. It means so much to me. I love talking, and YouTube seems like a good way to get all my talking out and not have to bother my boyfriend constantly. I still do, don't get me wrong, but not so intensely with things that he won't understand. So hopefully I can find my little niche here. So thank you guys truly, truly, truly from the bottom of my heart for sticking around and watching the videos. I hope to see you guys next week with the progress, hopefully meeting all my goals, but we'll see. And yeah. Go out, be kind, seize the day, and savor your happiness. Bye, y'all. I'll see you next week.